It's a 14-month project promoted by the Ghana Association of Microfinance Companies, GAMC, and sponsored by the Agence Française de Développement with CDC Consult as implementing consultants. The program, which began in October 2015, is planned to end in February 2019. The overall objective aims to improve significantly the quality of financial services provided by microfinance companies in Ghana for deprived, unserved, and poor populations, as well as for very small enterprises from the formal and informal sectors.
The project was started in October 2015, and the project scope looked at three main components. The components were component one, to look at the training center and to strengthen it. The second part has to do with the members itself, where it looks at the capacity of the members to strengthen what they were doing. And the third part looked at the secretariat itself, to also strengthen the secretariat to be able to carry out its mandate.
In total, we assessed 108 MFCs. We covered the entire regions of Ghana. In all, we had 10 assessors who were involved in the assessment. The assessors were chosen carefully based on their experiences in the microfinance industry, their experience and qualifications to perform the task. We had a lot of in-house training. We had earlier on sent the information requirement based on the tool to the individual institutions, so that they will get the information that we needed to carry out the assessment.
The development of the ProFigure tool, which was used as an assessment tool for the MFCs undertaking the MICCIP intervention, was a very rigorous process, because what we intended to do was to get a hybrid tool which encompassed a lot of practices that have been infused in many international or widely used assessment tools. That actually took us to reviewing some of these widely used tools. We realized that most of these tools had their own objectives. So did our tool. We reviewed about 6 tools. We came up with ProFigure. The ProFigure represents 8 critical areas of an institution's performance. The ProFigure is an acronym. P stands for performance, R for risk management, O for operations, F for financing and liquidity structures, I for information, G for governance and organizational framework, E for external environment, and the R for responsible financing.
The intervention of MICCIP followed that of RAFIP, which was more general, which made MICCIP very unique because it focused specifically on the issues of microfinance companies. It targeted them and provided them with what we call customized solutions.
MICCIP has been a very good intervention and an eye-opener for the industry.
Through the business model definition, we had about 5 products in all, 2 in the savings model and 2 in the loan model. But after the MICCIP business model definition, we have been able to come out with additional 9 products in the loan sector and about 5 more products in the deposit sector. The business model definition brought about the need for us to segment our market. Prior to this MICCIP project, we were just fishing in the big ocean, and any customer that comes in is seen as a customer. But when we went through the business model definition, we came to the realization that we will have to segment our market. And through that, we have been able to identify the right type of customers to deal with.
The loan portfolio strengthening, the intervention, and our loan portfolio has been strengthened. Before we did our appraisal, we didn't have any standardized way of appraising our customers. But the intervention taught us to do proper loan appraisal based on the cash flow basis, the nature of the customer's business. This has helped us. We have also put some measures in place, which is one of them post-disbursement monitoring. The customers now know that we will come to the premises to make sure that whatever they took the money for, the purpose for which they took the money for, has actually been used. And this has really helped us increase our repayments coming, because if the customer uses the money to buy whatever he took the money for, you realize that when the products are sold, repayments will actually come.
The model that was given to match our asset and our liability and ensure that at any point in time we have provision for liabilities that are about to mature, so that we don't get into the liquidity crisis. Based upon that, we have been able to meet the reserve ratio, which is a mandatory upon us by our regulator.
One other benefit that we have received from this intervention is better understanding of our risk as a microfinance company. Previously, we know all kinds of risks, but with the program, we are able to have a better definition. We are able to define our risks better. We have identified them differently, and then we are able to come out with mitigations. And one section that we benefited from a lot is the risk identification, definition, and mitigation.
Before the MICCIP intervention, we all knew something about credit risks, operational risks, this risks, and we're just saying it, but we had an opportunity of going through risk management, and it was excellent.
With the manual adaptation training, had some of the manuals that are very, very useful to us. And we have tried to implement some of the issues. When we take, for instance, the client engagement manual, we realized that there are a lot of issues that we didn't know before then. And once we implement them, it will help us know the clients better.
We have been able to conduct market survey, in-house market survey, that we did not incur any additional expenses on, and we are grateful to MICCIP for such intervention.
On-site support. We had consultants coming to our premises to actually talk to us about our businesses and how we can improve our operations.
In the course of time, we also realized that we have some issues with governance. After the intervention, I can say with confidence that we are meeting about 4 times or minimum of 3 times in a year. Even this month in June, we are having a board meeting. And so the board is meeting and deliberating on critical issues affecting the business.
Moving on, there are 3 key things that we would like from MICCIP. We don't have social performance indicators. So we are hoping that MICCIP will help us to develop social performance indicators. The other one is to have a process manual, a manual that captures all our processes, including the do's and don'ts. We have realized that a disaster recovery plan is very, very crucial for us moving forward. And so we are hoping that MICCIP will provide us with assistance to be able to come up with a disaster recovery plan, so that in case of any mishap, any accident, we'd be able to quickly fall on the plan, follow the steps there, and then get back to business.
As the microfinance sector as a whole, I think that if we could go back to the business model, I believe a lot of issues that face this industry will not have happened. And so if we can still go back to the business model, it's going to help us a lot.
I keep saying that we didn't have the concept right when we started this business, but with the business model definition, we realized that a lot could have been done better than it is. And so if as a whole, the whole industry can go back, it's never late. It's better we do the right thing today than to be faced with crisis in the future. And I believe we could do better to help Mother Ghana.
I must be honest to say that if you want to see sustained change, then it's too early to talk about the fact that MICCIP has brought a sustained change. What we have seen proves that intervention works. We have seen our beneficiary companies that have articulated what this intervention has brought to them. We have heard clients telling us about how before this business of MICCIP, they have been in a microfinance business without clarity on who they were serving, how many were out there, what are the appropriate products to reaching these people, including the channels that they will use, So we have come to the position where we are grateful that we have seen some changes. How these changes will be sustained is what we should all be concerned about. We can say that majority of our beneficiary companies have put measures in place, have demonstrated over the last 2 years that we've been working with them, that indeed they are committed to making the sustained changes. If they keep this up, we can hope for nothing but some sustained changes in this industry. Let me say that we should give credit to other things that are going on around as well. There's so much work that the Bank of Ghana is doing. There's so much work that the individual businesses are doing just to make sure that they address the challenges that are posed by the industry. We think that with this approach, definitely we can have clear measures that would demonstrate that indeed MICCIP had brought a lot of changes